1954. Little Ricky was driving to a sea resort with his parents, sisters and Aunt Joyce for 2 weeks vacation. When they arrived, little Ricky opened the door, ran to the beach and stared at the sea. He was only 5 years old and couldn't swim. Aunt Joyce patted him at the back and said, "Little Ricky, let's bet for 10 shillings that you won't be able to learn how to swim by the end of our trip." "Aunt Joyce, I can!" Many years later, little Ricky will become Sir Richard Branson, the richest man in UK, multi-billionaire and owner of over 400 successful companies. But right now, little Ricky faced the biggest challenge of his entire life. For 2 weeks he floundered in the sea, he swallowed salty water, he fought with huge waves, but still couldn't learn how to swim. "Little Ricky, don't worry. Next summer you will definitely learn how to swim." On the way home, little Ricky was staring through the car window and thinking about his huge loss. A few miles before they reached home, he noticed a river through the window. "Hey, we're not yet home. This means the trip isn't over. My last chance to win the bet. Dad, stop!" When the dad pulled to the side of the road, little Ricky opened the door, ran to the beach, jumped into the river, quick stream, picked him up, he went under the water, he floundered as hard as he could, then went to the surface again, pushed off the stone, and swam. He was swimming like a little dog. He was swimming in circles. But he won that bet. And Aunt Joyce handed him 10 shillings. 17 years later, after a successful launch of the student magazine and a chain of music shops, 22 years old Richard decided to found his own recording company. And for that he needed to buy a beautiful old house near London, where such bands like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones will be able to hang around and record their best hits. It costed £30,000. Enormous amount of money in the 1970s. Richard was proud of himself because he managed to get £20,000 of loan in the bank, much more than he could expect. But he still lacked £10,000. And his last resort was his family. He went to the dad and said, "Dad, remember that money that you put in the trust fund for me and my sisters? So that by the time we reached 30, each of us could get £2,500. Could you give it to me now?" "Sure, Ricky, I'll give you the money. But where you are going to get the remaining £7,500? "Honestly, Dad, I have no idea." "That's okay, Ricky. Go to Aunt Joyce. She might have a lunch with her, she might have some money for you." Ricky went to Aunt Joyce and she gave him £7,500. Richard bought that house, which eventually became Virgin Records, one of the most famous recording companies in the world. And at that time he knew that without help and support of his family, he would never be able to buy this house. The one thing Richard didn't know was that Aunt Joyce didn't have £7,500. She actually mortgaged her house where she lived to give him money. He went to Aunt Joyce and asked, "Aunt Joyce, why did you lend me that money?" "Ricky, I really wanted to give you this money. I know that when you can, you will return it back to me with interest. And about your persistence, I have no doubt. Remember that bat at the sea? You honestly want it. 13 years later, Sir Richard Branson founded his own airlines, Virgin Airlines. And he was flying on his own Boeing 737 to New York. All his family was on board. He was proud of himself. His parents and family were proud of himself. He looked at his parents, looked at his wife and children, looked at our Joyce, and thought, I would never be able to become who I am now without help and support of my family. Let me ask you the same question. Would you be able to become who you are now without help and support of your family? One day we ourselves become parents, uncles, and aunts. And we have those who need us. Believe in your children. Believe in your nephews and nieces. Support your relatives. Because chances are, they will never be able to achieve what they potentially can achieve and become what they can become without you. Miss Toastmaster.